How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Noobs for the Noob God Tournament. Today we have the second of the semi-finals. We have the Wood Elves being led by Eon Hunter versus the Vampire Coast being led by Wizard King. Starting off with the Wood Elves, they are being led by Durthu with 2 Waystalkers and 1 Spellsinger of Life. For their front line, they have 2 units of Eternal Guard with shields, 2 units of Wildwood Rangers, and 1 unit of Ward Dancers with Azrai Spears. For their ranged infantry, they have 2 units of Way Watchers, and for their cavalry and monstrous units, they have 1 unit of Glade Riders with Hagbane Tips, a Treeman, and a Forest Dragon. For the Vampire Coast, they are being led by Luther Harkon, along with a Vampire Fleet Captain of Vampires. For their front line, they have 3 units of Zombie Pirate Deckhands Mob, 3 units of Zombie Pirate Deckhands Mob with polearms, and 1 unit of Depth Guard. For their ranged infantry, they have 1 unit of Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob with bombs, 2 units of Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob with handguns, and 2 Deck Gunners, including the Shade Wraith Gunners. For their monstrous units, they have some Scurvy Dogs, some Mongols, a Necrofex Colossus, some Deck Droppers, and of course, Queen Bess. I can't wait to see how this one goes down. Here we are back on the battle map. On the right flank we can see there is a Forest Dragon and a Waystalker. On the left flank we can see that we have the Glade Riders, along with their 2 units of Way Watchers. On the little bit inner on the left flank here we have the other Waystalker, and in the middle we have the majority of the infantry and the Lord, including the Spellsinger of Life. As for the Vampire Coast here, they have deployed in a very defensive formation of spreading all their infantry around all of their front lines. So on the left flank here, a couple of units of deckhands. In the middle, loads of deckhands, and on the right we have a couple more deckhands, as well as some Scurvy Dogs and the Deck Droppers. In the middle here we of course have the heart of any Queen Bess army, which is Queen Bess, along with their 2 units of Deck Gunners and the majority of their ranged infantry, just kind of spread around this centre area here. So it looks like it's going to be played very defensively from the Vampire Coast, and very stealthily from the Wood Elves. Let's just speed this along until something interesting happens. So those Way Watchers were revealed very, very early there. It looked like the Deck Droppers were just kind of trying to move in to scout out those woods, so they would have been revealed anyway, but those guys looked like they were on fire at will, so just kind of, got spotted very quickly and, revealed themselves all too early. These Scurvy Dogs look like they're trying to make their way around the back, probably to attack these Way Watchers, but if the Way Watchers can get some shots off, which it looks like they are, then that shouldn't be any trouble whatsoever, since, oh, never mind. I say that, they all seem to be aiming for the same dog, and that has really become a detriment to them. The Scurvy Dogs are now into melee combat, and I'm not sure how they're going to do about that. I mean, the Scurvy Dogs are losing that combat, but they have done a significant amount of damage to those Way Watchers with a single charge, and, if they get a little bit more support, they could actually turn that around. Fortunately for the Way Watchers, the Spellsinger of Life is moving in, and I'm sure is going to be healing them, or at least attacking the Scurvy Dogs to give them some assistance. Queen Bess has been firing, and is just ruining lives. 1 unit of Eternal Guards with shields, already taken down to half health, and a massive hit to their leadership, along with these Wildwood Rangers here. Yeah, those units like that are stacked together, Queen Bess just aims in the middle of that, and it is just Christmas for her. It has come early. She is just going to shoot into that and do everything that she is meant to do. It's just how she works. That's going to be fantastic for her. Now, it looks like the majority of the Wood Elf units are kind of moving in towards the Necrofex Colossus here, and while the Necrofex Colossus is, of course, a very, very important unit, and you want to focus it down as quickly as possible, I'm not sure moving all your units into the middle of the field is really the best idea, especially for the Wood Elves. I know we probably want to attract all of the infantry into here so that his range units can get around the back, but it just seems kind of like an overcommitment to put everything into the middle here to take out this Necrofex. And, while it does do a lot of damage, it's not really going to rack up the same number of kills that, Queen Bess will. So I'd probably try and focus on, distracting so that I can get around to her. But you never know, we might pull something off here. Oh, we can see the Forest Dragon is moving in. I believe it's also going for a breath ability, possibly on this Necrofex here. That certainly looks like it's going to be the case. The Deck Droppers, the Deck Gunner, Shade Wraith Gunners right there, are now firing into all this infantry. And the breath ability goes out from the Forest Dragon onto the Necrofex Colossus, does a bunch of damage, but will it be enough? I'm not too sure about that. Queen Bess, along with all these Deck Gunners, are now just ripping into the Wood Elves lines, and they are just falling to pieces. It is an absolute slaughter. On the left flank over here, the Spellsinger of Life is moving in towards the Zombie Pirate Deckhands Mob polearms, which is a severe mouthful, along with these Deck Droppers over here, and getting helped by the Glade Riders, and 2 units of Way Watchers. They're not really getting too much value because they're firing on very low value targets. I mean, Deck Droppers aren't too bad, but firing onto polearms, come on now, you don't want to be doing that. They have no value whatsoever. You can take them out in melee combat, for God's sakes. Taking out these handgunners, however, would be a very good use of his ammunition, since handgunners are one of the best units in the Vampire Coast roster, especially if you're talking about value for money. The Forest Dragon now is getting taken out by all their Shade Wraith Gunners. You hate to see it. Every time we have seen a dragon come against, you know, the Vampire Coast, they get annihilated. We can see a summoned Feral Manticore here being sent in towards the Necrophix Colossus, along with this tree man. They are all just fighting, trying to stop them shooting, trying to take them out as quickly as possible. Luther Harkon is doing what he does best in this type of matchup. He is flying above and shooting down below onto all of these guys, along with using a bunch of spells, you know, taunt, everything he has to take them out and ruin their day. Now we can see the Necrophix Colossus has got away, and now these guys just being held back by a zombie pirate deckhands mob and a gunnery mob of bombers. In the background here we can see that the Forest Dragon has come back, along with the Spellsinger of Life, who is using a regrowth upgraded to restore up to 2,000 HP to him. So that is a very good use there. That's going to pull him up a significant amount of health and get him into the action. The Waystalkers over here, has he forgot about them? Because they kind of stood around. I know they have some decent abilities, dog, but you kind of got to use them. The Waywatchers over on the side here, they are just kind of getting shot by these guys, and they really should do something about it. Just probably attack them in melee, to be honest. Shooting into this clump, I know you're getting a lot of kills, but you are firing into trees, so that's not good. And also, you're firing into chaff, so that's not good, part 2. In the middle of the screen right here, we can see that a lot of units have actually managed to punch through the Vampire Coast defences and are now attacking Queen Bess directly. The Forest Dragon is in a duel with Luther Harkon currently. I'm not too sure who's going to win that. We'll just kind of wait and see. On the right flank over here, we can see that the War Dancers with Azrai Spears have been swarmed by the Depth Guard and a bunch of other infantry from the Vampire Coast, and are now retreating. In fact, a lot of the Wood Elves units are retreating. The Gladiators with Hagbane Tips kind of just stood in these woods and aren't really getting too much value. They're now being attacked by the Mongols and this swarm of infantry, which has some polearms in it, so that is definitely not good whatsoever. The zombie pirate gunnery mob with handguns are now just free to shoot into these Waywatchers. He needs to get rid of them. He just kind of seems to, you know, give them a bit of attention and then just forget about them. You know, this guy can literally sit up on this hill and fire them and take them to pieces, especially with arm-piercing damage like that. Come on, man, you want to take him out nice and quick. You see the Forest Dragon has now been redirected into fighting the Necrophix Colossus. We just saw a Breath of Will come down from Luther Harkon onto Dirthu. That did a significant portion of his damage. I hope the Spellsinger of Life is around somewhere so it can give him a nice little boost in health. The Waystalkers are still stood at the back, not doing anything. I'm not really sure what's up with that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, shouldn't these guys be fighting something? I know that some units are very good for having that passively, but if you're going to bring 2 of them, you know, you want at least one of them to be fighting. He's just kind of left them at the back. I'm not too sure what's going on there. If I'm wrong about this, then be sure to correct me, but yes, I'm not too sure about that. The tree man here has returned, I suppose. Anyway, he's got his leadership back, and never mind, he's gone broken. Army losses. That is a shame. I don't know what happened there. The Waywatchers were doing so well, getting a bunch of kills, even if it was just on chaff. They were doing extremely well. They managed to break through the front line, you know, shut down the key units. The micro was really good from the Vampire Coast player, but it just seemed like, you know, the Wood Elf player just kind of had that one tactic of, you know, punch through, get to the key units, but after that he didn't really seem to have a plan beyond it of what to do afterwards. So that is a little bit of a shame, but nevertheless, let us get into the stats. So as you can see, those 2 Waystalkers, 0 kills between them. I was really disappointed there. I was hoping I'd see them, you know, get in there, do some nice shots, take out some key targets. They are great duelists, so, you know, focus them both on Luther Harkon and watch them just go to work. It was a real shame to just see them stood at the back, not really do anything. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you have to actually use them rather than just having them stand there. And if you're going to have them stand there, they need to be near their units to, you know, give them encouraging stuff. So it was very confusing. But Dirthu himself, 50 kills, not too shabby, all from, you know, the Lord of the Tree Men. So that's definitely not too bad a performance there. 36 on the Spellsinger of Life. That is very good for a caster that is just a caster, so I won't be too upset about that at all. The Eternal Guard of Shields, that looks like the units that got taken out by Queen Bess before they could do anything whatsoever, whereas this unit got 50 kills, so I imagine they were fighting in all that chaff that was clumped up in the middle. The 2 units of Wildwood Rangers, you know, 29, 20 kills, that's not too bad whatsoever. And of course, the Waywatchers putting in work as per usual. Unfortunately, the Azrai Spears War Dancers didn't get any value whatsoever. A single kill, very upsetting indeed. The Gladiators with Hagbane Tips got a few kills, but again, they could have done a lot more, you know, firing into the backs, firing into the key targets. A fast unit like that, it would have been nice to see him get around the back, shoot into those deck gunners, and, you know, take them out. Even if you're not going to kill them, just damage them. Keep them busy, keep that unit on the move, keep them distracted so they can't fire into your front lines and take out all of your troops. As for the Tree Man, 4 kills, but I'm pretty sure he was focusing on the Necrophix and other large targets. Similar thing with the Forest Dragon, it got a few kills, but again, it was focusing on large targets, so it's not going to get too many kills, while it still was getting a decent amount of value. As for Vampire Coast, strangely Luther Harkon got 0 kills. It looks like he was focusing on Dirthu that entire time, which is fair. You know, he's a really great skirmisher. He can just sit in the air, fire at a Lord, and they can't really do anything about him if they can't fire back or fly up to attack him. So that's entirely fair. 0 kills, but definitely not 0 value. The Vampire Fleet Captain got a couple of kills. I didn't really see where they were for the majority of the battle, so I might have to go back and have a look and, you know, just kind of reiterate to myself what they were actually doing, because I couldn't really see them, but apparently got 9 kills. As for the chaff, you know, 10 kills max, that's fine. It's chaff, it's not meant to do anything. The Depth Guard picking up 51 kills, a very respectable performance there. They took out those Azrai Spears stupidly fast, so that's great value there. The Bombers got 16 kills, 1 unit of a Zombie Pirates Gunnery Mob with handguns got 0 kills, and the other got 20. That is very odd. I don't know how 1 unit got absolutely 0 kills and is such high health. You'd think if they were that high health, then they were untouched. So if they were untouched, you'd want them to be firing, so that is very odd indeed. In fact, quite a low number of kills for the majority of the ranged infantry for the Vampire Coast. You know, 20 on the handgunners and then 15 and 13 on both units of deck gunners, especially the Shade Wraith gunners. But I suppose they were focusing large targets like the Shade Wraiths were focusing the Forest Dragon and Dirthu quite a lot. So, you know, 0 kills does not mean 0 value, and not many kills does not mean not much value. It just means they were probably targeting something that wasn't a multiple entity unit, so they didn't get many kills. 12 kills on the Scurvy Dogs, not too bad. You know, we saw them charging into the Way Watchers. We knew they weren't going to win it, but it kept them busy for a little while and, you know, let the Vampire Coast control the middle part of the map well enough. The Morghuls were in the forest and were attacking, I believe it was a unit of Wildwood Rangers or possibly Eternal Guard. So not too bad there. Necrofex, 22 kills despite being focused for the majority of the battle. So that's a very respectable performance. The Deck Droppers, 2 kills, but the Deck Droppers, they're not that amazing. They're just kind of a bit of a gimmick unit, the base unit, so I won't be too torn up about that. And of course, Queen Bess, as always, putting in work, 127 kills, the majority of which were on this enemy infantry front line right here. So that is, of course, a fantastic display from Queen Bess. But that covers everything in the stats. Now, let's get into the scores. Right, now we get to the scores, starting off with the Wood Elves. For composition, we gave him an 8.5 out of 20. Now, Dirthu is a fun pick, and the couple of Waystalkers isn't common. In fact, we quite enjoyed the hero picks all around. You know, the Life Spellcaster, that is pretty much essential for any Wood Elves army. There was an unusually large amount of frontline. Normally you'd see quite a few more ranged units. I get that you're going to, you know, try to be kind of off meta, but if you're doing it to the detriment of the composition, that kind of goes against it. Yes, the scoring system is getting a little bit wonky, but, you know, we're just going to have to roll with it. We did enjoy, however, the monster picks. We thought they were quite decent. You know, the Dragon, the Tree Man, and the Cavalry. We enjoyed all of those. So not too bad, but again, kind of in the middle of the road. Now for tactics, we unfortunately had to give him a low score of 5.5 for the pretty much sole reason of what happened to those Waystalkers. They were just sat at the back. Yes, he used some abilities right at the start, but they were just sat there. Come on, like, you just need to use them somehow. You can't bring 2 heroes, which is a massive amount of your budget, and then just have them sat at the back not doing anything. It was really upsetting to see. Now, the targeting nearly everything on the Necrofex was a massive question mark for me. I could see it happening in the replay. He was just walking everything towards the Necrofex, and while it is a very important unit, you know, Queen Bess is way more important because she's Queen Bess, and when a lot of your units are infantry, you need to take her out as quickly as possible. That moving up made the front lines get clumped, and it just made Queen Bess look way better than she actually was being. So it's very upsetting to see that. I really think he should have tried to spread out his front line a little bit more. Just avoid clumping up for Queen Bess and making it super easy for her. Just, you know, spread them out, attack several flanks at once, and maybe try and get around and shut her down. Now, the Waywatcher flank was a good idea, but it was never properly realised. They just kind of didn't really do anything. They ended up shooting into the trees a lot, which isn't getting too much value because a lot of them are hitting the trees rather than the units. And then when they were shooting at stuff, they were shooting at chaff, and it's just not really much use for, like, some of the best ranged units in the game. It was very upsetting to see them just kind of stand around and get shot by the handguns. The Cav, pretty much the same. They started on the same side of the map and just didn't really end up doing much. Yes, they were okay in getting a few picks and running around the enemies a little bit, but it would have been nice to see them get into the backs, fire into those Shade Wraith gunners, fire into the Deck gunners, fire into Queen Bess. Just get around the back, you know, do what Cav does and shoot into the spines. But instead they were shooting from the front and over their own units, which is just way less efficient, especially for a Cav unit. Now for Magic, we gave him a 9 out of 20. There were a few nice heals, especially that one on the Dragon to get it coming back. 2,000 health is always fantastic for a Dragon of that size and that health pool. But apart from that, not much else. There was a Breath on the Necrofex that was alright and did some decent damage, but Queen Bess is a much more important target. Yes, I know that Breath ability says it is much better versus large targets, but Queen Bess herself, it'd just be so much more worth it trying to damage her, or at least damage the crew, and shut her down as quickly as possible, especially when you're focusing every single thing on the Necrofex. The summon was also not too bad, But again, there were just more important targets. I'm pretty sure I just summoned it and sent it straight into the neck effects. Again, like everything was focused on the neck effects. He just needed to spread his entire focus around. So that brings his total to 23 out of 60. Now, moving on to the Vampire Coast led by Wizard King. For composition, we gave him a 9.5 out of 20. It was a fairly standard Queen Bess-centric army, you know, just a bunch of infantry to defender, a couple of range units, and of course Queen Bess herself. One absolute star she is. It was nice to see Luther, since Noctilus is such a god. You know, Luther is still a very good pick with his zombie dragon, and he is able to shoot off that and do a bunch of damage and be relatively safe, so he's always a great pick to see. The regular deck droppers were a bit of a question mark for me. They're not really amazing. You know, regular deck droppers are kind of on the bottom end of Vampire Coast units, so you'd have been better off just, you know, either saving a bit more money on your infantry and getting some better deck droppers, or just dropping the deck droppers altogether and getting something else. The Mongols were nice to see, but one thing that I did notice that was missing was the Gunnery White. Yes, I know they are one of the most meta things in the entire Vampire Coast, but they are that for a reason. You want one of those stood next to Queen Bess, just absolutely buffing her into oblivion and slaughtering anything that comes her way. For tactics, we gave him a 12 out of 20. It was very defensive and a very standard deployment formation. There was some decent targeting on Queen Bess. You know, he picked out those clumps very well, capitalised on the opportunities that the Wood Elf player was presenting him with perfectly. Got so many kills on Queen Bess, but at the end of the day, is Queen Bess. It's not exactly rocket science to carry the battle with her, so we can't score him too highly for that. He did manage to keep the neck effect out of trouble despite getting hard focused. He managed to pull it out quite a few times and get it firing. But apart from that, you know, just very defensive, more reactive than actually active playing. As for Magi, we gave him a 7.5 out of 20. There was a decent summon to defend the backline and a wonderful scream from Luther to focus down the tree man, which did pretty much break it after that. It just took a few more shots and then it was out of there. But apart from that, that's kind of about it, aside from a couple of other buffs. The presence of the Vampire Fleet Captain wasn't really felt for the majority of the battle, so it was just kind of those few buffs here and there, nothing too incredible, but nothing too awful either. So that brings his total to 29 out of 60, and without even the 15 bonus points from winning, that does mean that Wizard King is going on to the final, where he'll be heading off against Small Gang. I really do hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Noobs for the Noob God Tournament. If you did enjoy this video, then be sure to hit that like button, and of course subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm doing battles, I'm doing streams, I'm doing guides. The Chaos Guide is coming, I've started playing. If you want to see me play the Chaos Guide, then head on over to my DLive channel. It is dlive.tv/ColonelDamneders. That's dlive.tv/ColonelDamneders. Head on over there, it's free to create an account, just hit follow. Alternatively, you can join the Discord, which is linked in the description, and they are always the first to know whenever I go live or any news that comes from the channel, so you should be sure to join that anyway. But if you didn't enjoy this video, then be sure to hit that dislike button. You know what to do, and leave a comment, tell me how much you hate it. I would also appreciate that oh so much. But yes, I believe that covers everything, so for now, I've been Colonel Damneders, and I'll see you next turn.